Hey, what's going on, everybody? And thanks for joining us again. We're live, and we've got a fun one for you. I hope you're welcoming in this fall weather well. It's supposed to be fall. It's the end of September, and yet I caught a tan this weekend. I love this summer fall, but we're going to keep it going. So with today, we're discussing first, T.I. and his wife, Tiny, were awarded a $71 million suit against a toy maker. Secondly, we're going to be going to how it's a peculiar day when every member on the board of 23andMe resigns. And then we're going to be wrapping the show up with how Missouri is to execute a defendant despite the prosecutor's objections and innocent claims. So we've got a big one for you. And don't forget, the whole purpose of the live show is to get you involved. So be sure to be diving into those comments to add a little bit of the dynamic to our dialogue here. But with all that being said, I can't do it without my good friend and my co-host, David Cunningham. How you doing, David?
I'm doing pretty good. But, you mentioned how warm it is right now for what's supposedly a fall day. Boy, do I open my closet and I look at those jackets. I'm going, Oh, it's jacket season. I'm ready to wear a jacket. I love me. I love me some warm weather.
I'm ready for the fall fashion.
Yes.
But I'm not ready to be outside sweating because I need this outfit, but it's also still 75.
Yeah. I am looking forward to when it starts getting just a little bit cool. Like we start hitting 65, just like regular the other day, 65. Oh, yeah. Perfect jacket weather. Ooh. Absolutely perfect jacket weather. You know who actually doesn't like jackets anymore? He swore him off after the plane ride in 2001. Doug, what's your favorite jacket?
When the weather's nice enough that you don't need a jacket, but it's not too hot that you sweat in a jacket. I like that perfect temperature. I'd like to not wear a jacket. Give me that in between.
Doug doesn't like clothes.
What a great summary of what we just spoke about.
I'm looking for the porridge suit that is just right.
I can appreciate that. Well, let's get this episode going. Before we kick off the first topic here, let's bring in the Pickle Gallery. First, Silent Destroyer. Silent, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How's everybody doing today?
Oh, happy to be here. Great, how you doing?
Great. I'm doing awesome. Let's get it rolling.
Let's get it rolling. Ricky, how you doing today?
Blessed, black, highly favored, brother. I'm great, bro. I'm great, bro. We outside, bro. We outside.
All right, guys. So for the first topic of the day, T.I. and his wife, Tiny, are awarded a $71 million reward. I don't know. It's just a payout for the greatest suit, I guess, of all time. This fight that has been going on forever, they called it a hell of a fight. They're claiming that this company, MGA Entertainment, violated the intellectual property rights of their music group, the OMG Girls, the company LOL Surprise OMG Dolls. So here's first, this is them leaving the court today, prideful and happy to be walking out $71 million richer.
Already rich as heck.
Oh, that's a fresh ass suit too. So we did this for the city. We did this for the culture, Tiny said during her Instagram live. But I want to first, I guess, before we have even more of a dialogue on this, first let's take a look at, I want to get your guys' thoughts on, I guess, the material, right? So This is the OMG dolls. I am new to even learning about them. First off, how ironic is it that, these are the performers. If we go to their page, they haven't come out with new music in a year, 11 months. And they just came out with a new music video 4 days before they're making headlines across the country, right? The other, but that's just scratching the surface. This is the doll. What is OMG? Outrageous millennial girls. Okay, so it's not even just, oh my God, OMG. It is like its own. The logo is unique and on its own, but I guess we'll have to call upon the other parts of the board here to see. I would like to I'm sure somebody could make the argument that this is part of the culture. Isn't that what she said? She did it for the culture.
Yep.
So is this a direct representation of OMG Girls, the band only? Or is this representative of the culture, right? Like if I was making cowboy dolls, but there was a cowboy band, if the name of this thing is LOL Surprise, Outrageous Millennial Girls, or OMG Dolls, is that really the same? So this is what we're looking at. Is that really the same as this? You've got some outrageous hair colors, right? But I mean, is this really the same as these outfits? I mean, that I guess a jury of our peers have decided so. Here's, I guess, one of the final nails in the coffin. I could toss this up here. There's a screenshot I have from Tiny's Instagram that I guess this was some of the more damning evidence they claimed. So if we look at like down here, you've got these two girls, their outfit is supposedly a total knockoff. This is a total knockoff of that. Yeah,
but that's an outfit I've also seen plenty of like celebrities and people.
That's what I was going to make the argument of. What makes this unique? That it's white? Look at it. This has 2 black straps. These don't. But look at the top is red underneath. It's still black. Their outfits are actually lacking any color. It's a stark black and white outfit. And the only color in their outfit is their hair. And then I also want to double down on the hairstyles. If you look at these dolls, they're all super long, outrageous hairstyles. This picture right here on the left is the most outrageous of the girls. And that's one picture. Most of the pictures and the way they display themselves is either, a partial cut or a partial coloring or straight up natural coloring. It isn't always. I mean, the first doll was multi-rainbow colored, hair down to her hips.
Yeah.
So here's my question. Is this truly worth $71 million? Because this is going to set a wild precedent. And now you've got, here's my question. Is the band worth $71 million? Does anybody in here know who they were or anything about them? So are they a $71 million brand? Did the doll bring in $71 million? And you're saying stealing my likeness is how you were able to gain $71 million? Or because it's my likeness, I get everything you made? I respect if you carve your own lane and become a unique archetype in your culture, in your society. You've done that. You've done the work. You're owed that. You deserve that. But I'm just talking oxymorons. I'm just talking having cake and eating it too. At what point is it this is the culture? And at what point is it this is me and you stole this from me and it's $71 million of me? So is it the culture? Is this what all the girls are wearing? And is this, what we do? Or is this what I do? This is a me do, and you copied me, and that's worth $71 million. So I flip it to the pickle gallery and the table here, but they're saying, LOL surprise, OMG dolls infringed on the trade dress and misappropriated the name, image, and likeness of the all-female band that T.I. and Tiny formed in 2009. What are your guys' thoughts on all this?
Well, this one might be a little tough. Is the band's also OMG, right?
Yeah.
So I could see how the seeds of an argument were made because they're okay. The band's a little outlandish style. The dolls are fairly outlandish. You could probably maybe point to 2 or 3 parallels. Like, well, you dress the dolls kind of like this. I think the one piece we might be missing here is how are they marketed? Because usually that plays a pretty big part. Like what was some like video advertisements? Was it like a music? Was it in the same style like a music video they did, or were they throwing things on social media to really try to take those two connections? Because I could probably see some overlap where I'm a younger fan of the band OMG, and at the same time,
all right, hold up. I like a man that's thinking. I like somebody should pay you to be their lawyer. I only say that because let's take a look at one of their commercials. I like your idea. So
I think a lot of these come down to like how the product's marketed, not necessarily
and
static visual.
When did the product start? That's a main key as well. When did they first launch these OMG doll? Because it was right after the OMG girl band came out with their extravagant style.
I mean, that could totally that's a major element. If it's like the following week.
Yeah.
And they only came out with 3. They only came out with 3, and there's only 3 in the group. The original 3 LOL OMG dolls were only 3. Now they have like 75.
That's a good point.
All right, hold up. I like this. I'm a man that pushes for continuity and logical consistency. So I'm chumming the water. I'm making you very comfy. I want the culture comfy, okay? You just said, trust the jury of our peers. And if the jury of our peers weighed all of this evidence, and this is what they came up with, then that's a fair outcome. I want to remind you of this moment. This thread will find itself weaving itself again. I don't know, maybe when we talk about capital punishment and a jury's decision then. So I didn't mean to cut you off, Ricky. But let's first, before we continue parsing apart the legitimacy of the legal claim, let's take a look at the commercial ad like David was suggesting. Okay.
This is so
okay, but come on. This is more like a Polly Pocket.
Yeah.
Come on. Is this like
man.
yo? Okay, hold up. I want to ask Ricky, are we being real? I showed that video, and then I showed a clip of their newest music. Were you? I don't know if you stepped away when I showed that.
No. I was saying.
Are those the same vibe? I'm gonna go on a limb and say no.
The original video was more party-ish with the first 3. That's when they started the argument, and it continued till now. They've been through like 3 cases.
It's been a long road.
So it's been a long road. So it's not just, now they stopped the group like years ago. They haven't made no music, as you stated earlier.
Except for today, dude. 4 days ago, a new music video. Capitalized.
Yeah, they said they were coming back out after this music. But
I mean, they got $71 million.
Originally, when they just came out as a group, and like a year after, and these dolls came out with the same style, how they're dressed. Because at first, when OMG girls came out, they didn't dress like colorful or anything, and they made a transition. They made a switch with the 2T dress, the colorful hair. It's when skinny jeans was going. That's when colors were flying. That's when they did this song with New Boys. That's the only song I know of them. I don't follow the
New
OMG girls.
Boy.
You're a jerk. So it's like I see the argument from then. Now, I if it was now, they just I don't know where it said, oh, we're gonna sue them today. I don't think they have a claim.
Well, it probably makes sense. You said this was going on for a while, so they probably started the kernel of the. There might have been a few parallels where you kind of perked your ears and go, well, let's just throw this out here in the courtroom. We have enough money to burn. Let's see if this gets any traction. And then as the company grew, decided, hey, well, we need to separate ourselves here for liability purposes. And it seems like their lawyers were not as good as TI's lawyers.
Can I ask Ricky a question?
Oh,
No.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week. So I'm curious, Ricky.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree if the band came out and was like sexy and colorful, and then the next week the dolls came out, we'd have a problem, right?
Yes.
We'd have a problem.
Yes.
How much time would have to elapse for you to comfortably go, these are separate things, this is a Polly Pocket? Here's the thing.
I'll say 90 days.
You can't live in a world where you say
exactly.
the whole pink aisle is all white dolls. Then when they try to meet you halfway and make dolls for the culture,
but Alex, that's not how the law works.
Person $71 million.
There's time periods for like certain things. If like not everything can be a civil suit. Like there's a time period for certain stuff. If I was making rules, I'll say a year. You have to notice something if it's your entity, your marketing, your whole image. You have to notice that within a year. Within 6 months, you have to notice. If you don't bring that claim within that 6 months, you don't have a claim because it can't go on forever. If this is your image and you're trying to guard your image so secretly, like this is you, anybody see this OMG and this colorful, they think of you. It has to be within 6 months. After that,
right.
I don't think
everybody
you have
heard
a claim.
Ricky. Everybody heard him. Now I can quote him. You heard me? All right. Now, Ricky, let's take a look over here. When did the LOL surprise come out? 2016. When did the OMG Girls band come out? Boom. 2009. Oh.
You think that?
See, hey, then they don't. I would say personally, they don't have a claim.
That ain't 6 months. That ain't a year.
No.
That be grifting.
That's a generation.
Grifting. Silent. You've been silent. Thoughts?
I've been very silent. I've been a brewing and a cooking. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. This is exactly what's wrong with the American justice system. The litigiousness of some of these cases is outrageous. It's crazy. This is like a circus to me as a Canadian, because over here in Canada we have something called caps.
Dropping this.
When people sue each other, there's a cap to how much awards you can be awarded.
Yeah.
You know, not freaking 71 million. Like that's
crazy.
It's outrageous. It's nuts. And I'm just sitting here like scratching my head. I'm like, this is insane. Like this is nuts.
Like, did that doll company really bring in that much money off of those?
And that's the thing.
Yes, they did.
I guess they did, right? And it looks like TI just had really good lawyers, and that seems to be the case here. They don't have a case, like Ricky said. If it was a couple of weeks, couple of months, a year after they came out, sure. But like a whole like 8-9 years almost, like yeah, that's way too far off. That's way too far off.
Yeah, and also this is just another example. So the music industry in particular is wildly litigious.
Mm-hmm.
So they have enough depth of cases where they're able to pull precedent from all sorts of different angles and like piece it together like you're taking 100 different puzzles and trying to fit all the pieces together.
Hold up.
Whoa.
Silent, you almost had a thing there. You almost had me going. I almost was like, oh, yeah, that Canadian's humbling us and our system's all jacked up. Give us the caps. We don't need no caps because okay, what did I just discover? How much did LOL Surprise dolls generate? How much? How much? I want guesses around the room because your mind's going to be blown. Marcus. Doug.
I don't even know.
David.
Probably like 120 million.
I'm betting 250 million.
Silent.
350 million.
Ricky.
Let me go out the park and go a Billy.
Okay. So I just want to say, Ricky being the most outrageous with $1 billion. How much did this toy company generate with LOL surprise dolls? 25 billion.
Holy shit.
71 million is nothing.
Oh,
That is
man.
nothing. Give them the money. Drop in the bucket.
Bring the big truck in.
T.I.'s lawyer.
There's always a bigger fish. I
T.I.'s
guess.
lawyer is about to get a lot more money right now after this.
Hold up. I want to read one thing, and it puts this in a totally different lens. Now, reading this comment right now is better than ever, okay? MGA founder Isaac Lorraine, who denied the allegations, insisted that the group did not influence the dolls and referred to the famous family and OMG girls as extortionists during the trial. And it's just like, this is so far from extortion. 25 billion. You have, to me, reading the article, when you hand them 71 million, my loins are telling me you took away everything. You took away profit and cost. I bet they're in the hole. The fact that you didn't even scratch a 25th, you didn't scratch a 25th of it. Oh my God. I think you need to pay me just for watching. This is crazy.
That's less than 1%, isn't it?
That amounts like a marketing budget for maybe a year. At that scale they're going at, that 71 might just be the marketing budget for the year. It's like, all right, we'll spend
I
71.
think that's literally what they paid Cardi B for one commercial.
I think it's funny that you're like, at the beginning, you were like, do they really look that similar? But then we're looking at the amount he's being given versus what they made, and you go, well, I guess it's not that big a deal anymore.
Well, but I think that brings up another good point where just because you have money doesn't mean you're just inviting people to sue you based on the flimsiest. You know, I don't think we're big fans of multinational corporations here, but we all have to play by the same rules.
Let's all remember the old lady with the hot coffee in a Ferrari. She didn't have a cup holder. She burned herself.
Wait, time
Get
out
a
though.
fucking cup holder.
Even more so, think about this. They had a jury trial. The jury is who awarded them that. And then you sit at home and going, how blasphemous that Disney would say my Disney Plus requires me to go to mediation.
Yeah.
It's because a jury is going to milk a corporation blind even when they're not wrong.
Because you can appeal so much to emotion based on
yeah.
oh, look how much money they made off just the flimsiest of their name, image, and likeness, and even 71 billion or 71 million. It's a drop in the bucket compared to all these billions they're making. But what we're setting is a bad precedent, and we're this is the conversation we had right before we started the show. We're running out of nostalgia, and part of that reason is they're just gonna. Unless you own the IP and you're going to just milk that for all it's worth forever, you're just going to sit here and anything new you make, someone's going to come around and say, hey, I drew this on a piece of paper once. I expect my $20 million as well. And it's like, put it here.
Yeah.
Give me now. Now I want this. And this is ruining nostalgia. This whole litigation feel.
Well, nostalgia's
I hate
already ruined. Silent, what are your rapping thoughts?
Yeah, this is crazy. It's ridiculous. But now that I know that the company is making 25 billion, T.I.'s lawyer, T.I. and his family and lawyers earned that. That's okay. Give them the money.
Yeah.
Give them the money. They earned that 71. They earned that 71 million. They did.
Ricky, what are your rapping thoughts?
I don't agree how long it took them if they were really serious about their image and likeness to file the lawsuit. But it is what it is. The company ain't fucking feeling it. They'll recoup in the next year.
I can appreciate that. Hey, it is what it is. No, but my wrapping thought is going to be when you look at them side by side, they aren't the same. They aren't the same. And if you can draw upon one specific outfit, then I think, hey, somebody needs to talk to Isaac, the founder, and tell him maybe you shouldn't be so stingy with your legal team. Because clearly T.I. and Tiny saw this as a solid business investment, and it damn near paid off. So I would suggest maybe next time getting a better legal team, because I would even maybe appeal the sentence at the worst case if I'm down the hole this part.
Oh, I'd definitely appeal. I'd say.
For the sake of making the claim that you can draw upon one outfit. And so you either, if that was an accessory, you get all the retail sales for that accessory, or you get all the retail sales proportion to the doll that came with that accessory, but you're not getting the whole line because there's some of those that are so clearly not the same. The marketing scheme, even if it changed, is not the same. It is Polly Pocket. It is like Barbie. It's your regular doll. And all of the dolls I just mentioned are apparently crippling and oppressing. But then when you finally make a doll that appeals to those that are being crippled by Polly Pocket, it's a payout. So again, I agree with all that has been said. The scariest piece is what precedent does this create?
Yeah.
Now, is it that you're going to get 1/180th of what I make? Because then it's a scratch in the bucket and it means nothing. So if I'm a local, small businessman and you try to crush me, you're still only barely scratching me. You're not getting 71 million. You might only get $71 because all I made was, $20,000.
Yeah.
But I disagree. The concern is where this leads, what this creates. But at the same time, notice all of our opinions completely evolved the second we knew the numbers we were dealing with. And if anything, my wrapping thought is how that is indicative and reflective of where our culture is. The apportionment of our economy is so off balance that we're willing to swallow a dangerous precedent to just try to bring that shit back to the other side of the scale. Like, I'm not even T.I. Like, those aren't poor folks. That's bringing no one out of the hood. That's actually helping none of the regular folks. They're already million, if not billionaires. At the same time, they're not the ultra trillionaires. So we're like, screw it. Take it from them. Take it from them. Because the corporations rule our elections. And they rule our whole lives. So we'll swallow that pill. But again, while it is disappointing, we need to see the fruits of what it tells us, which is we clearly see an off-balance economy, and it requires some sort of intervention. I think the intervention is going to have to look something different than just random jury civil payouts that are going to throw our legal system way out of whack. So my advice would be to start having real conversations about how, we probably vote with your views, vote with your dollars, and stop giving money to things that don't, like, again, if you disagree with this, or if you do agree with this, if you agree with this, you probably shouldn't go buy an LOL surprise for your daughter. But at the same time, if you're like, no, this isn't the same, I support these dolls, or there's people buying pillows just because of who they vote for. So all I'm saying is I don't necessarily agree with the jury, but at the same time, this is the system. This is what we sign up for. And remember this thought when we all agree that the jury came up with it and this is what it is, so we agree.
A little bit of foreshadowing you have, but no, I largely agree probably with your point here. You know how much I hate saying that, but yeah, I think the consequences of this are going to be downstream of nostalgia, of new ideas, because now anybody who's you make some money, so it's okay for me to sue you until you make just a little bit less money. And I'm no defender of multinational corporations, but there's definitely you prime this pump enough, it will be used against you. And just how many times we're going to go down this ladder where, oh, hey, you make six figures, I only make 20,000-30,000 a year, I'll sue you because you wronged me in some way. And we're just going to keep playing this game of, well, they make so much money, it's not that it's not that wrong for them, it's just a drop in the bucket. That's just probably such a bad way to view things, especially when it comes to legal precedent. Even if it does favor the multinational corporation, sometimes holding them accountable that way is just eventually going to hold everyone accountable in the wrong way. And that's not something I really want to see here in this light.
Yeah.
Yep.
Doug, wrapping thoughts.
I think if T.I. turns around, donates that money to something, he doesn't seem so out of touch when he goes, "This is for the people." Well, you're already pretty freaking rich. So unless I see some charitable donations out of that money, I think he's full of shit personally, because he doesn't
Build a
need
school
that
like
money.
LeBron.
He doesn't need that money. Yeah, build a school like LeBron. Like,
Well,
that
he
dude
does.
that-
He does do affordable housing. Still line his pockets, but he does build affordable housing.
Wait. Whoa. He builds the housing and he profits off of his suffering culture.
Yes,
What an
so
honorable saint.
it's only so much you can do though. Like, what do you want him to do? Just give him his whole money away? Like, there's only
whole
so
money,
much
he
you can
just
do.
wants 71 million. He
Just-
doesn't need that 71 million. That
Look,
was
let's
all
give
free
T.I.
money. Just give it to
Let's
him.
give TIP a year. Let's see what we do in a year. All right, chill.
See what he do in a year?
We'll give
But
him
he's
our
already been.
calendars, people.
What I'm
in
saying
1
is-
year we will have
Man,
a
I
discussion.
can't wait for my slumlord.
What I'm saying is,
T.I.
it's not just affordable housing he does. He does a lot for his community. If you look into T.I. and what he does philanthropy wise, how do you say that fancy word? Philanthropy? Yeah, he's a that fancy word. Yeah, he
had
does
to
this
do
shit.
it. Ricky had to do it. I was going to do it. I forgot.
No, but he been doing it.
Ricky's the one that made me remember. The whole topic was wrapped up and done. And you had to go and remind me that August 8th, they had a long-running trial that was just dismissed because the Jane Doe minor who said she was drugged by TIP and Tiny, she dropped the charges. Sounds like some Diddy shit as your homeboy's profiting off of your suffering. Oh, but the case was dismissed.
People always gonna suffer. You just gotta do your part to try.
Dark, Ricky.
Try
That was
do
real
less.
dark.
Always
It's
gonna
the truth.
suffer. Jane
There's
Doe. Ricky's.
Oh no, not Jane Doe. Hey, if it comes to essay, anything to do with essay, I ain't got no comments. You deserve anything that comes to you if there's proof and you can prove it. I bring your case to it. I have nothing to say about the essay, but people are always gonna be suffering. There's always gonna be rich. There's always gonna be poor, and if you have the money
to
be
rich, profit
good,
off that poor.
That's right.
I don't say profit off everybody mostly out there is profiting off the less fortunate in some type of way.
Why let your landlord be the faceless slum guy? Why not be a famous slumlord?
Yeah, so you can call this shit out, I don't know.
Brother, he shows up and they're like, hey, it's been a rough week. I can't make my rent, and he just busts through the big things popping, little things dropping.
Nah, he gonna say you can have whatever you like.
You can have whatever you like.
You're gonna watch these commercials.
That's my idol.
Well.
All righty then. All right. So next topic here, we're diving into how the 23andMe board of directors resigns all unanimously as the CEO of the genetic testing company seeks to take it private. Now, there's been a major divide between the board and the CEO. The plan is to take the company private, and that is what has kind of pushed everybody away. The immediate 49% of the voting power resides with the CEO. who, without any consideration of the board, intends on taking it private with or without their condolence. And the entire board refrains or wishes to refrain from doing so. And that is at least the current narrative. But this all happened so abruptly. There's also murmurs of the fact that 23andMe, the science used to identify what your genetic lineage is, outside court proceedings are showing that those are inaccurate, so that they were giving people false positives of, mainly the folks that are like, oh, I'm 5% black. Yep. It actually turns out you're not. And the science didn't work. And you're all a bunch of clowns. And they know that they're going to be screwed. There's probably going to be a lot of lawsuits with something like that. But something Silent and I were discussing once we found this out, leading into this upcoming episode, the craziest dynamic of this all. All right, the board leaves. There's obviously two different views or goals for the company, and that could just be it. But then, hey, maybe something's wrong with the science. That all being said, they have millions of people's DNA.
Oh, yeah.
And so once this goes private, and that's why it's going private.
Also, they've already been breached too. So the DNA they have is out there already.
Right. To a certain degree.
To a certain degree.
Not proprietary knowledge, not or the proprietary science, and not all of the filings, right? You may have identities, but you don't have the DNA itself. Think of that. That is property of you sign away as property to 23andMe, your literal DNA, and they have that. Like Jurassic Park. There's going to be a whole bunch of silent destroyers running around this bee because he had to go and find out that he was just a little bit Indian. And now he's got a twin, and there's multiples. All I'm saying is, that's what they're selling. So the goal is we'll take it private. We know that this is going to be probably one of the biggest payouts ever. And what we're selling, it's not a good company. Because you want to hear these numbers? Boom. 23andMe, which went public in 2021, has struggled to find a profitable business model. The company reported a net loss of $667 million for its last fiscal year, more than double the loss of $312 million the year prior. One, interest is falling off, but two, what kind of business model is this? You're absorbing extra costs. The more your company grows, the more you need storage, faculty, staffing for all of these warehouses and, phone numbers, the contacts, because somebody has an issue with logging into their account. All these programs cost you money and you're not bringing it in, but you're sitting on a pile of gold, which is millions of people's private DNA.
And I don't even think so. Here's another thing to think of too. It wouldn't shock me at all if they actually were intentionally losing money and telling the shareholders, "Hey, we're trying to gain market share. This is the startup playbook, like Uber, Amazon, also all sorts of these other companies. I'll burn money until I get essentially to a threshold where I own most of the market share." And that style of data that they have, this isn't just your car buying preferences now or your TV privileges or what type of food you like this month that's trending. This is hardcore data that doesn't change,
right?
And it's not even just
it's super private,
and it's not even just your data, it's the people around you's data, your whole family tree. It just takes your sister, your mom, your grandma to decide, I'm going to try this, it's fun, I appreciate the commercials, let's see what my family history. Now your insurance rates might go up just because your grandma went and did that.
That's my least favorite point made so far. Because that's terrible.
They can tie you so closely to that because that data doesn't change. You're allergic to peanuts? Well, guess what? You're not. There's no cure for that. Your whole family could be allergic to peanuts. And if the insurance company doesn't know about that, oh, hey, that's just one extra reason you're an extra risk. There's a whole flurry of things because that data is so locked in place. It causes your life to be more expensive. And the threshold, since they own all that data, they have a lot of leverage to do whatever they want with it.
I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts? Either of you?
Ricky, go ahead.
Nope.
It is scary. I hope they don't be cloning people out here. But to David's point, there are using people DNA to find like better ways to fight viruses and whose DNA can like prevent. Like this family in the Carolines were a slave family, and their family, their grandpa blood, something with his DNA was the breakthrough to fight cancer, and their family was never paid for it, or like they never knew about it.
We still don't have a breakthrough for cancer.
No, not cancer. I did not break through. Like help fight. Yeah, help treating it. Like help fighting it.
Yeah, there's more money in treating than curing.
Wait.
That's why
we had telling me there's a patient zero.
I'm gonna find a story. I'm gonna find a story tonight, and I'm gonna send it in a group chat.
He signed up for 23andMe. He's
this is old school. This is old school when doctors was going to rural areas and taking people's blood and just bringing it back and doing whatever. This was back in the days. So thinking of that and what they can do now with technology, I will never sign up for nothing like that.
We're not going to brush off thinking of that. Thinking of what?
I don't remember the story exactly. I will put it in the group chat tonight. We can do like a recap.
Help the audience.
I know it doesn't help my argument either. So, so I'm just stuck here. All right. I don't remember exactly. I don't remember the exact story, but it's scary with technology nowadays. They're going to be exploiting our DNA in ways that we didn't even think of and profiting off of stuff that we should be in control of. And when people click that dispose button on the website, don't think they really dispose of your DNA. They still got a little smudge back there.
Silent. What are your thoughts?
It's honestly, the whole idea of 23andMe is scary to me. Like, you're paying to give up your DNA to a company so that you can,
and then they own it too.
Yeah, and then they own it. You can literally just go to like your city's family archive and just look at your family history there. For most people that have actually like that are still where they're born, for most people, you could trace back a lot of like far back as the first people that came to the country, if you want, in a lot of cases for a lot of people. You could just do that for free instead of spitting in a cup and giving your DNA to a random company that who knows what they're doing with the data. Like, I mean, and at the end of the day, they clearly have been not doing the right things with that data, especially selling it to insurance companies and things like that. Like, that's a really scummy thing to do with something that's so like personal and sensitive. And like David said, like, this doesn't change at all, ever. Like, it can like, so yeah, like, you're allergic to peanuts, or you're more prone to like be allergic to this or that, or you have like some sort of DNA indicator that says you're gonna have this disease or that disease or this allergy or that allergy or whatever. And then for them to leverage that against you and charge you more to pay for insurance or deny you medicine, or say, you can't take this certain medicine because you're allergic or whatever, or it's just the whole concept of it. Like, to me as a business, it just makes no sense how they even thought it would be a profitable business, honestly. So I'm not even surprised that they're bleeding so much money that they can't even be a public company anymore. Now they have to literally take the company private to who knows what they're going to do with all that data now, so that they can make actual money and become profitable.
Nothing good. Doug, what are your thoughts?
Hang on. Let Ricky go.
So the lady name was Henrietta Lack. Her DNA, her cells were helped break through to discover cancer. It's like to help detect early cancer through her DNA. It was stolen. Her family.
What does this have to do with 23andMe?
Like,
I'm just okay. So I said with 23andMe, with the technology nowadays.
Wait, hold up. Just so you know.
So okay.
I'm trying to think of like have you ever seen the movie The Mask?
No. Oh,
you know when that guy came out and his face looked the way it did? Not Jim Carrey, The Mask. Like the heartbreaking facial deformity guy.
With Leonardo DiCaprio? The family, the Iron Mask?
Nope. Hey, you know what?
Phantom of the Opera?
Let me edumacate everybody here.
Edumacate. I like it. Teach me, sir.
It's not The Mask. It's Mask.
Oh.
Let me boom.
1985.
Hold up. I need to get you guys images because you guys
trailers
need to be
do this very much.
Now it's just doing horror movies. All right, bet. That's what you guys sound like.
You guys share this with people, Alex. Hurry up and share that.
Okay,
screen.
Doug. I'm new.
They hear us all laughing, and they're like, "What the hell?"
All right, so this is The Mask. That's not it.
Not the green one.
Son of a
wrong
gun.
screen.
All right, Doug. I'm trying. Inception real quick.
Oh.
All right. This is called Mask. All right. Ricky, they didn't even need to take his blood to find out he was the first. So, like, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but, like, I'm also trying to display kind of how significant it is to discover the problem. Like,
yes.
Oh my God, this is the first person to die of the Black Plague. I need to know the person with the blood that solves it. And you know what? Maybe that person exists. And that's why they catalog and save all the DNA. I like where your thoughts at.
That's it?
But also, I do want to emphasize how insignificant the blood of finding the problem is.
Hey, no. Look, I'm just saying. They were doing shit with people's DNA back in the day without them knowing.
Brother,
what the fuck are they doing now?
Salt water in people's blood.
I'm just saying it must be crazier now. You know, whoever sent it in, there must be a baby them mixed with a goat in a lab somewhere. That's all I'm saying. There's some crazy shit going on.
All right, now you just went Alex Jones that there's half animal people being made in a Chinese lab. Doug, what are your thoughts? You were itching to talk, and you need to ground us.
Oh, man, yeah. Mine is a little more normal of a comment. You mentioned, like, you sign away your stuff with that. Well, when you sign up for Snapchat, any picture you take in Snapchat or send through Snapchat,
even if you delete it,
Snapchat
not even send.
technically owns that.
Yep.
And yes, it's still stored on their server. You may have deleted it from who you sent it to or whatever, but like they own that image. When you send something through Snapchat or take a picture with Snapchat, they own that image.
That's scary.
So
and again, 23andMe owns that DNA. So let's wrap these thoughts up. I just want to at least emphasize before I kick it to the room for wrapping thoughts. I agree with Ricky. Right? I agree with Silent Destroyer and Ricky that 23andMe and its whole entire concept is just scary to me. I'm quoting Ricky or Silent directly because the truth is that's why I never even became interested. I didn't even need to think about it. One, I don't care. Like, think of me as a mutt. When I go to my mom, what am I? Greek, totally Greek. We are Greek, totally. Dad, what are we? We are a mutt. We are this, that, and the other thing. Okay, so 50% of me is pretty grounded. The other 50% of me is just about everything. So none of it matters.
That sounds like my family.
I'm going to do a little plug here. And the beauty of going to see a movie like I Am Racist by Matt Walsh, the whole concept of the story. Go find the hillbillies in the middle of deplorable America. And you get all these white hoity-toity educators that are like, it's such a problem and it's everywhere and we're dead. And then you go just see the simple people that we're supposed to be afraid of, that apparently makes your life super dangerous. And these biker dudes, the vets, Confederate flags everywhere, and they just go, all that matters is right down in here. You don't matter what you look like. Just treat people like people and love them. See, didn't take a degree. And it's funny when he just goes, well, it can't be that easy, right? Because again, there's people paying $50,000 for a course to tell you how racist you are. Diatribe over. The point I'm saying is we're all the same. We're all the same. And literally none of it matters. The only super value is that there's kind of like simulation theory, scientific theory. There is a computer code in your DNA that makes us super unique. It's kind of like the God code. And what's funny is all of us have our own little snowflake key that's different than the last. So there is a superior value in those codes. And the more you accumulate and the more you can categorize and I siphon out the details and information from, there's the value. You think Facebook, Google, and Snapchat have what are they selling? Your data. You think that data, you go into Starbucks every other Tuesday? You think that's valuable? Oh my God. Guess what your last 1,000 years of lineage value is? So, wrapping thoughts. Boys, who wants to go first? Ricky, what are your thoughts?
My rapid thoughts is, man, be skeptical of all these corporations, man, especially if they want your DNA. Don't do it. If you click a button and say destroy, they ain't gonna destroy it. They got a little spec, and you might have I'm Alex Jones for this. You might be a half goat in the future. So don't do it.
All I know is they're trying to siphon that lizard DNA. Silent, what are your thoughts?
Agreeing with Ricky, just don't give these companies your DNA. Your DNA is very valuable data, and other than maybe your doctors, and even then, it's a little bit like, you're kind of like, you don't really want to give it to any doctor, maybe one that you trust, like a family doctor or a doctor that you've known for a while. Your DNA should not be given to companies for any reason. No matter what they promise they're going to do with it, like, don't believe it, because they're actually just going to go and do whatever the hell they want with it. And if you're okay with that, then fine, give it to them. But me personally, I would never give them my DNA, even if they paid me thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars. No, thank you.
My wrapping thought is going to be David's least favorite, which is, I love American Horror Story. He doesn't like me for liking it as much as I do. They've gone off the rails by pushing agendas, but it's still a fun little Halloween story. I don't know. But they had a season where the apocalypse came and there was a nuclear war. It wiped out all the humans. And just before the whole world was obliterated, there's this family sitting in their living room, and the government busts through the front door and is taking their son. No matter what, we are leaving with your son. And they're like, no. And they're like, no, we are leaving with your son. And they're like, no. And they're like, no. And then the dad's like, I'm a dad. I'm going to fight. And then they just were like, we will kill you. And they're like, okay, take our son. And then it came on the TV. The president's like, hey, I called him Rocket Man one too many times. We're all dead. And so the dad was like, okay, take him because we're dead. You might take him somewhere where he'll survive. Turns out that he did a 23andMe, and they were able to find that he had the most superior DNA. And so in a world where all the humans were going to be wiped, they found a male and a female. Oh my God, what is a woman? They found one of each, and they found the most superior DNA of each. And they saved them for, the recreation of humans or whatever. So I only say that because that's what you're giving them. You're giving them your.
What is that, Alex?
What's that?
What is that? A movie?
American Horror Story.
Oh,
it's a whole season. It's amazing.
Oh my god!
But like David said, then it just falls off a cliff and becomes a Taylor Swift witch
thing,
cult,
yeah.
and then it goes crazy. But why do we bring it up? 23andMe, you gave them your DNA. What if they go, hey, we found out that there is a DNA strand that makes people transphobic, just makes them racist. We should collect them all. And then all the people are like, get him! Get him! He doesn't like cutting kids' weenies. And then we're good. I'm gone. I'm gone. But I
going downhill.
I am just worried that, and you should be worried, any company that's in the game of collecting data, right? Google, it is so funny that we have an entire dialogue before this episode. Should we get WhatsApp? And Ricky's like, come on, it's just easier. I'm on an Android. When you're on an iPhone, the sending of data gets all jacked up. The images and the videos aren't the same. Can't we just use WhatsApp? And I'm looking at him and I'm going, that's one of the most intrusive apps you could put on your phone. And then he laughs at me and goes, but you got TikTok. Yes, I do. And it's intrusive. Yes, but not as intrusive. So again, you pick and choose. And I think I'm getting enough value out of TikTok that I'm willing to give it. That's a personal opinion. Other people, like David, would say, I would never get a TikTok on my phone. And again, I understand it. Why? Because the cost or value of what you're giving them is so high. And we as a society haven't internalized that yet. We have not come to terms with how valuable your data is. Google there's like only 300, 400 countries in the world. Google has the GDP of like 100 of them. Okay. So like, that's insane. So you have a single company that's like a quarter of the world's power. And how do they have that? What are they selling? Lemonade? No, it's you. It's you. And every move, every click, every thought you do. And with superior marketing and algorithms and mechanisms, they can also control that. So the real scary piece is this. That's just your day-to-day mechanics. They can quite literally hijack your entire fabric and being, your DNA. The value of that data is greater than anything else. And that's why they want to go private, baby cakes. Woohoo! Bill Gates wants to buy a farm in Oklahoma. Wait until I call him up and I say I have all of Oklahoma's DNA. Doug is itching. What you got?
Itching.
Well, we all know the college sports NIL deals where they're now allowed to profit off of their name and likeness. All right.
Okay.
They better not make an OMG Buckeye doll.
Shouldn't Google pay us for our information? Like, if they make money, shouldn't we get a share of that? Like 5% of the amount of my data?
No,
being
you sign
sold?
that away.
Yeah.
We
fact,
signed
on
away,
the dotted
exactly.
line.
But how do college players who are getting a free education and going there are able to profit off of their name and likeness? But
Because they didn't sign it away. Remember, they weren't
They
able.
did sign it away.
No,
well,
they didn't.
before then they signed it away.
They did. Hence, in 2012, they couldn't sell a jersey with their name on it because they signed it away. Now, because of court intervention, it isn't signed away. They privately own that information. You don't, Doug, you still don't deny. You
It's
still
just a thought,
own,
man. Hey, I was just throwing that out there.
No. I'm flushing out your point out. Totally. I agree with you. I just want you to realize you still own your DNA. The majority of Doug is still sitting in the seat. You just pricked your finger or peed in a cup, whatever. I've never done it.
Yeah.
Maybe you spit. Was it a swab in your mouth? You gave them a swab's worth of DNA. And so the majority of what is Doug and its value in that DNA code, it's still sitting right there. It was organic and talking. But there's a little bit in a vault somewhere. And they can sell that because, how about this? Could you sell a kidney? No, but physically you probably could, right? You could find a guy in an alley and sell a kidney. That's what this is. You sold somebody a swab of spit. There is a girl on OnlyFans that sold her socks.
Real quick, Alex, Gladiator in the comments is agreeing with my Google point. So I got someone backing me up here.
I agree about the Google point. No, he's talking about me.
I don't know, dude. That was
I talked about Google. What did you say about Google?
I talked about Google, that they should pay us for our rights.
Okay.
I think he's talking about me.
I love you, dog. Guess what? Gladiator does too. I want to get back to the main
and
point.
By the way, Ricky says he loves me. If you're going to show comments, why don't you show that one? There we go. Ricky's itching for it. Look at him on our end.
You know, I got to tell you, I got stopped at an Indians game this summer, and the person was like, "We saw your show. It's great. I love it." Blah, blah, blah. And he made a passing comment of like, We like when Doug pipes in. Tell me say hi. And it's gone straight to his head.
What do you mean? Ricky said it there. I just wanted to comment on it.
Straight to his head. Straight to his head.
All right.
There
is... Hit the button. There has been...
See Ricky's dying.
There is a girl on OnlyFans that has sold her socks. And then there's a creepy guy that's obsessed with buying all the socks. And he's got a vault of socks. But you don't get to come back and say, I want the socks. Oh, man. We got Brian from the Dolphin Cave. Brian,
Hey,
I hope they're
Brian.
keeping you warm.
Hi. I'm in your spot.
We got the ransom note from the Dolphins last episode. We hope you're well. We're going to try to hopefully remote you in at some point so you could join us. And we got tomorrow, the Rethink Tank podcast is back. We have new episodes.
Ooh.
And the following week, Brian has an episode. The weird piece is now he's in a cave. So the timing's weird. It's like, hey, here's Brian, but we don't have Brian. Brian's kidnapped by dolphins. Anyway, there's a guy that owns all the girls' socks. And Doug can't come back and go, but I want my socks back. No, there was a legal transaction. You sold them the swab of your spit or whatever it is, and it's theirs. So, wrapping thought, I'm so glad I knew not to involve myself with this.
Oh, yeah. Shout
out to Nolette. My heart breaks for you. Some creepy bigwigs that, people, not good people, do have a little piece of you. And I wouldn't be worried. I would be worried about that.
They will be keeping that forever.
And they are probably going to sell it for like $1 trillion. You and a million other folks. Oh no. They gave me 2 messages. Must go back to eating sardines. Luckily, they gave me berries. Oh, yeah. Me and Brian, good thing we gave you those, Brian. When Brian and I did the episode, we ate these emberry tablets that made disgusting things taste well. Ironically, totally unplanned, Brian was sucking down sardines because of the emberries. Wow. He's like, this is so great. Now, for me, I couldn't do it. But Brian, if that's what's keeping you alive in a dolphin cave...
Bravo.
Woo!
Bravo.
God bless you, Brian.
Hang in there. We'll get you.
All right. Do you have any wrapping thoughts for us, David? Can you land this plane?
Let me sink this ship here. So with the data, because the problem we're going to run into here, your sales data on whether or not you like a color of shoes or if you like a style of jacket, that's not really worth a whole lot. So Google paying for some of that web traffic that you have is actually pennies on the dollar. And the unfortunate part is the more valuable your data is, the less likely it's going to change and the more personal it can affect your life. And I'd say this DNA data is the most valuable set of data that you have. And it's a shame. They knew it. 23andMe knew what they were doing. They marketed it as, oh, just figure out your family history. Here's some health benefits. Here's all these wonderful things that they sold. But on the back end, you really were the product. It's a real shame because that data point is worth quite a bit of money, especially to the right people. We all know who those people are. At the same time, you're paying for it. You're paying for a service in which you are ultimately the product. And that sucks. And then what's overshadowed by this too is that technology is actually very useful. It's very helpful. to know what you might be susceptible to, what you might be allergic to, what are some attributes about you that you don't know that you could either maximize or minimize based on some of those immutable characteristics that you uniquely have.
Oof.
And we're not getting the advantages of that because it's being gate kept by someone who wants to charge us more for health insurance. And that's going to be the bottom line of all of these data brokers. It's very rarely ever going to be positive for us. It's almost always going to be negative, or at the very least intrusive, with like ads and small shit. So this is and I think by the time we understand how valuable our data is, it's going to be too late. There's going to be a critical mass of almost too much data, and it's like, all right, well, we don't really need any more, or we really know the trends of what we have, and we have enough algorithms to figure it out in the forend. And now, sure, you can have your data, it's no longer worth anything. You've already spent it all.
I could appreciate that.
Yeah.
Doug, wrapping thoughts.
It actually made me what you guys were talking about there made me think about the Bond 25 No Time to Die movie. If you guys saw that, it's like about DNA weapons designed to target specific DNA. So like Bond is specifically targeted. His and people with certain specific DNA can be targeted because they had a sample of it.
And Doug, that's a current science.
Absolutely.
They can make viruses that directly only impact a certain race, culture, region, and talk about totally evolutionalized.
But now we're giving away our specific
warfare.
DNA, so they could target us specifically too by, just based off of that movie, they could target specific people. It's like, well, shit, not putting your DNA out there.
I know we're trying to close it out, but talking about the power of these corporations and what they have, Google being an entity so powerful, so rich, and the only thing they're selling is you and your data. There was a guy, I can't remember his name. Truthfully, I do think the last name was like Epstein, but it was one of the more recent Joe Rogan episodes. This guy has been on the past. He's doing a nationwide and worldwide research project on the calculated and manipulated search results and suggested searches by Google and how much that impacts elections, knowledge, culture. So I only bring that up because part of this guy's claim is that they've been trying to kill him. Well, then in between that and the last episode, his wife was killed in an instance that he believes should have probably killed him, and she just happened to be the one that took the car that day. So I only bring it up because there's been people in his circle helping him with his research that is villainizing, or let's just say peeling back the veil on a dangerous entity, but also an entity with infinite resources. So if just a Joe Schmo stands in the way of a $300 billion board of directors, there's an expat, there's what's the military, an independent contracting military? Mercenary.
Private security mercenary.
Yeah, there's a mercenary somewhere in America that you could hire, and he has had people in his staff that are leaving meetings and whatnot with random needles found in their bag or needles poking out. And that's what you're dealing with. Is you talk, this is all tinfoil hat, right? Yeah. This isn't allowed to be a part of your reality. But at this point, I'm not going to quote the people because it doesn't help the situation. But there's resources that'll tell you that they could literally put things on surfaces that you touch.
Oh yeah, ricin. Yep, that's the big one. That's where they shake your hand, or it's real potent. Oh yeah,
like what was it, the interview, right?
Yep,
that was the ricin tape on your hand.
That was the low.
The thing is,
supreme.
If we see Russia do stuff like this, why don't we think America is not doing it? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, that's the
We
scary
see-
thing. We are. We actually
Exactly.
are.
So, like,
we might be the worst ones
it,
to
like,
have that power too.
facts.
Yeah, 'cause it's,
And we utilize it.
yeah, and that's the we have the leverage, we have the we have the guns to be able to point, and unfortunately, there's not really anybody that can stop us unless they collectively get together. Which as an American myself here, I don't want that. I quite like being left alone by other countries.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right, let's get to our final topic here.
Hold on,
Missouri
Alex.
What's that?
Whoa.
Oh, wait.
Hey, before we get on the next topic, man, make sure y'all go to the rethinktankpodcast.com. Go to the NeuroGym, join the NeuroGym, become a member on there, and you can catch all the clips and everywhere. Every clips, everything that the Rethink Tank got going on there, and you can get your merch. We don't got the merch clip up now, but you can get all the merch there. A lot of merch, so go get your merch there. www.rethinktankpodcast.com. Last topic,
and I like
Alex.
where Ricky's at. Join something. Here's the thing. I think you could probably look at like episode 70 or 80, probably right around when I left the old studio and had to go become an independent in random places. I used to always say, join the Neuro Gym. It's a social media alternative where we can all have our dialogue. That's our Discord. Silent's big on Discord. Join his Discord. But this is a central place. It is the Rethink Tank. That's the tank. And so the beauty of it is hopefully once we get enough minds flowing through there, when we bring in the wheel of topics, that's where we want to be siphoning it from. So go to our website. On the homepage, like Ricky said, there's everything. We've got all these different channels we've got our Sunday shows. We got the Sunday football review. We've got the Rethink Actions, have a cup of coffee with us and laugh. We've got just our clips channel, and we've got everything, all merchandise. And all of it can be found in one central place, the clips channel, everything. All in one central place. On the homepage, you could click to all the different pages. But join the NeuroGym because we truly want to hear from you. I appreciate Ricky bringing it back to that because there used to be a lot more proactive activity in there. And I think it's because we're so the live show came and we weren't able to live in the digital as much. So rooting us back to that, give us your ideas. If you find topics and you see things that you want to hear us talk about, find it in the NeuroGym. Drop it in there. Start a conversation. We're always going to be proactive in there, especially if we're getting notifications that you're dropping us ideas. So join the NeuroGym and break away from all of these people siphoning your data and selling it. I ain't taking it. I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy that wants to talk to you. All right. I appreciate that, Ricky. Ricky's on top of it as always. Getting to our last topic. And this one is an interesting one because I think we are all going to approach it from different angles. And we're definitely, I think, having different beliefs on it. Missouri is preparing to execute Marcellus Williams, despite the prosecutor's objections and innocence claims. So today we're talking about Marcellus Khalifa Williams. He's 55 and is due to be killed by lethal injection at 6 p.m. in just a few days. After the office of the St. Louis County prosecuting attorney, which originally convicted him, sought to have his case overturned. Prosecutors have raised concerns about the lack of DNA evidence linking Williams to the 1998 killing of Leisha Gale and have said that Williams did not get a fair trial. Although the prosecuting office and the victim's family backed an agreement to have Williams avoid the death penalty, Missouri's Republican Attorney General Andrew Bailey has fought to allow the execution to proceed. The public doesn't want this execution to move forward. The victim's family doesn't want this execution to move forward. And St. Louis County Prosecuting Attorney's Office doesn't want this execution to move forward, said Jonathan Potts, one of the Williams attorneys, in an interview on Monday. The Attorney General's office, who had nothing to do with this whatsoever, are the ones who are trying to lead him to the death chamber. It's pretty startling and extraordinary, he says. Williams, who was long maintained his innocence, was convicted of first-degree murder of Gail, a social worker and former reporter of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Williams was accused of breaking into Gail's home, stabbing her to death, and stealing several of her belongings, but no forensic evidence connected Williams to the knife or scene. Williams, who serves in prison, has dedicated his time to poetry and has twice had his execution halted at the last minute. He was days from execution in January 2015 when Missouri State Supreme Court granted his attorney more time for DNA testing. In August 2017, Eric Greedens, the Republican governor at the time, granted a reprieve hours before the scheduled execution, citing DNA testing on the knife, which showed no trace of Williams' DNA. Greedens set up a panel to review the case, but when Mike Parson, the current Republican governor, took over, he disbanded that board and pushed the execution to proceed. In January, Wesley Bell, the Democrat prosecuting attorney in St. Louis, who has championed criminal justice reforms, filed a motion to overturn Williams' conviction. Bell cited repeated DNA testing, finding Williams' fingerprints were not on the knife. Miss Gail's murderer left behind considerable physical evidence. None of that physical evidence can be tied to Mr. Williams, his office wrote, adding, new evidence suggests that Mr. Williams is actually innocent. He asserted that Williams' counsel at the time was ineffective and that his predecessors in the St. Louis prosecutor's office had improperly removed black jurors from the serving on the trial. Additional testing on the knife, however, revealed that the staff with the prosecutor's office had mishandled the weapon after the killing, touching it without gloves before the trial, which is insane to me. Bell's office said a forensic expert testified that the mishandling of the weapon made it impossible to determine if Williams' fingerprints could have been on the knife earlier. In August, Williams and prosecutors reached an agreement to halt his execution. He would plead no contest to first-degree murder in exchange for a new sentence of life without parole. His lawyer said the agreement was not an admission of guilt and that it was meant to save his life while he pursued new evidence to prove his innocence. A new judge signed off on the agreement, as did the victim's family. But the attorney general changed it, and the state Supreme Court then blocked it. On Monday, Williams' lawyers pleaded the execution to be stopped based on arguments that the prosecutor in 2001's case had excluded the black jurors because he had looked similar to Williams, which to me is crazy. How do you even get that information? Like, if you did he say that? Because then, totally throw this out.
Yeah.
Because most attorneys are just doing that. Are you inferring this? Because that's a whole nother thing. And that's just, I don't like it, but that's a legal strategy by an attorney. If an attorney said that, that's insane to me. Proceeding, but the state Supreme Court denied that request. The governor also rejected a clemency request, which emphasized that the victim's family opposed execution and quoted 3 trial jurors who said they had doubts about the case and supported Williams' petition. The attorney general argued in court that the prosecutor at the time denied racial motivations for removing black jurors and asserted that there was nothing improper about touching the murder weapon without gloves at the time. What? Bailey's office has also suggested that other evidence points to Williams' guilt, including testimony from a man who shared a cell with Williams and said he confessed. And then also a testimony from a girlfriend who claims she saw stolen items in Williams' car. Williams' attorney, however, contended that both of those witnesses were not reliable, saying that they had been convicted of felonies and were motivated to testify by a $10,000 reward offer. Parson, the current governor, defended the execution in a statement on Monday, saying Williams' attorneys, quote, chose to muddy the waters about DNA evidence, claims of which the courts have repeatedly rejected. He said that Williams had exhausted due process and every judicial avenue, adding, the facts are Mr. Williams has been found guilty, not by the governor's office, but by a jury of his peers, and upheld by the courts. Bell said in a statement on Monday evening that St. Louis prosecutor's office will, quote, continue to do everything in their power to save his life. Even those who disagree with the death penalty, when there is a shadow of a doubt of any defendant's guilt, the irreversible punishment of execution should not be an option. Potts, the current governor, Williams' attorney, said the case would create further mistrust in the criminal process. Quote, the only way you can create public confidence in the justice system is if the system is willing to admit its own mistakes. The public is seeing the justice system at its most dysfunctional here. But I'm going to just add my 2 cents, which is the only thing I find the most false here is that statement. They can only create public confidence in the justice system if the system is willing to admit its own mistakes. But here there may have been a mistake in the evaluation of the facts, but it wasn't a mistake by the system because it was a jury of your peers. And just as much as the prosecutor had voir dire to eliminate jurors as they saw fit, I don't think you realize the defense attorney did too. And I guess your attorney failed to get those damn gum racist whiteys out of there.
I've been through jury selection. You're absolutely right there, Alex.
I just want to say
I agree as well.
And encourage the dialogue about capital punishment, this particular case, maybe even the motivations and the political approach of the current governor. But the one thing that I find off guard, or maybe something that really isn't calling for dialogue here, is a unanimous disagreement with this isn't a mistake from the system. Because if we want to live in a world where the dolls are infringing on T.I.'s band, and they get to go to a jury or a judge. Because again, Mr. Williams could have gone to a judge. And the judge, I'm telling you right now, this is the legal strategy of attorneys. If you want to eliminate as much bias as possible, and you want to be as bound by black letter law as possible, you are going to go with a bench trial. You are going to go with a judge. If you want to roll the dice and you have confidence on the ability to play on human emotions and grasp at things outside of it'll have the skeleton of the black letter law, but it will also have the fat and meat of emotion and social opinion, then you go to a jury. And it was Mr. Williams who chose to go to the jury. And it would be a potential judge who would distill all of the bias and go to the facts. So to me, and again, we have a lot more of, we have a little bit more I'd still like to talk about,
All right.
but I want to flip it to the room. And David, first, kick it off for us. What are your thoughts?
So I go back and forth on whether or not I'm a big fan of capital punishment or not. I get the emotional appeal for an eye for an eye, righting wrongs. However, we do have to remember, this is the state actively killing you.
But dude, this wasn't just like a theft of a TV, right?
No,
this is going in someone's house and stabbing them a bunch of times.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's also where I think we need to uphold the highest standards of law, is when the state is killing you. and state is actively taking a life.
Crazy.
It is when you frame it that way, because capital punishment, oh yeah, you did something wrong.
Yeah, they put it. Hold on. You go to a think tank, you pay millions of dollars to come up with a beautiful catchphrase to hide and disguise some of the most grotesque political concepts. Capital punishment.
Yeah.
Killing a human. Capital punishment.
Yeah, the death penalty. No, it's the state killing you. It's your own state killing you. Your government going, this guy's got to go. And I think we can look at some of the most extreme examples of someone doing heinous things and going, yeah, this guy needs to be removed from society. I think we could probably all agree that. But then we start where we start hitting this line is, oh boy, we need to uphold the standard of law to the highest form when we are taking a life, and we need to be 100,000,000,000% sure that we are actually we're doing the right thing and we're doing the correct thing based on the facts. So knowing that, there's probably some people out there that will go, well, I'm just going to try to find every single nitpicky thing that could possibly use as a mistrial to keep extending this thing out.
Which can you blame them?
I can't
This is
blame 'em.
survival. This is life or death.
Absolutely. But does this slow down the system and make it harder for the state to kill you? Yeah. Is that a good thing?
All right, hold on.
Oh,
David, though, Gladiator says if they release him, though, he can sue the state, right? Oh, yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So again, there
before.
is
What
a
is it?
financial investment in not conceding.
What is it? Lawful
boo-boo.
unlawful
Unlawful
imprisonment, right?
yep.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times. So we always hear about the ones that won, but rarely do we hear about the ones that lost, that still got out of prison and then lost the trial or didn't get as much. Because I think we all heard about the one guy who got like 20 years and he ended up being like $20 million, like $1 million for every years in jail and came out.
Good for him.
But we don't hear about the guy that went to jail for like 3 years, sued the state, and then all of a sudden, and actually, we were right. It was just this kind of, like the Miranda rights case where, okay, well, you're good because of that. You still did whatever you were doing, but you got off because of that. That's that big old gray area. 'Cause most of this is in a gray area. This isn't serial killers running amok just doing nitpicky things of the law. Those guys typically get their due once they're caught and through the trial system. But the one guy, one murder, did they do it, did they not do it, kind of this hemming and hawing OJ Simpson stuff. That's where we really need to uphold the law to the highest degree. And just by some of the details we're hearing here, whoever is the head defense attorney should be fired and replaced immediately. So, oh my God, I don't want to even say a good lawyer, but like a competent lawyer. You don't even have to be top tier. Just like he knows what he's doing. He's got some experience. He understands that mishandling evidence without gloves on is probably pretty good grounds of a retrial, or at least being able to throw that evidence out. Didn't mention that. So this probably tells me there was probably some other evidence in there that was fairly overwhelming that we're not necessarily hearing about in this article. Because I always want these juries to be videotaped. Right. Maybe not necessarily sent to the public. There's a fine line here of whether or not.
Wait, the trial or the people?
The juries when they discuss.
Oh, no
way.
No, I have to agree with that one. No, absolutely not on. No,
dude,
there might be
only because here's the
I want to see that shit.
Yep.
No. I'm with. Okay.
no.
Hold up.
Like,
Hold up.
yeah, we want to see it, but
real quick.
How can you be fair and impartial when you know everything you say is going to be out there?
I want to emphasize.
It shouldn't be out there, but they should know. It shouldn't be out there, but they should know. Hey,
wait, who's they?
It should be reviewable.
The evil entity we talk about every week that we don't trust.
The one that's
we should let them only be the ones watching it. So it's either all or nothing.
No, and no one should watch it unless something comes up. You know what I mean?
But that's the point of discussion, though, is they should be bringing up.
Well,
and guess what?
Part of it in a retrial.
There's also a thing called a
hung David
jury.
just said it in a retrial or something. You know what I mean?
Just be part of it with the retrial.
No, you know what? No, because then the lawyers on both sides can see. Okay, no.
There's a thing called a hung jury. So, like, if issues occur in the room and it becomes impossible to come into a fair and unanimous fucking decision. If we can't come to a unanimous decision, then there is no decision and it's over. So that means every person signs on the dotted line. And so there is no barrel to the back of the head. How do you keep the barrel from the back of the head, changing them from making their soul's decision? Okay, this is coming from a time where your car could just blow up. Like, people's fingers were showing up in their beds, their family members' beds.
We're in Cleveland, man. People's cars were blowing up not too long ago. Our parents lived in the age of, you were downtown, you could see a car explode.
Dude, my grandfather
on my
dad's side passed away when he was 18.
All right.
So my grandmother, when my dad was like in his mid-20s, dating my mom, was dating this Cleveland detective. And he showed my parents and my grandmother, who was single, dating this guy. He showed them on their kitchen counter the Irishman's
Danny
Green's
Lakewood Medical Center or whatever
it
was
in pieces. Oh yeah,
that was
Hollywood,
a time for Cleveland, man. That
my
was
dad literally was like, "Oh yeah." Like
normal for cars and houses.
It's crazy that was in a picture. Like, so again, all of the bits in a again, that was a way of the world. How do you preserve truth, justice, unfettered by outside intervention and manipulation? Anonymity. So you need to keep these people anonymous, and whatever decision they make can never catch up to them, follow them. It's unanimous or anonymous.
Are we really anonymous though? Because I've been through jury selection. The defendants sitting there as they go, Mr. Gurgett, Mr. Cunningham.
I'm going to go on a limb and say the folks that are sitting there, Doug.
I'm just saying, though, are
Doug,
we anonymous?
You're right. But guess what? This whole thing has worked as long as it has because the guys sitting there that would hunt down their juror because their brain doesn't work and they're a psychopath, they aren't Elon Musk. The capacity kind of stops at flipping a cheeseburger. If Elon Musk was sitting there as a defendant, Doug, be flipping worried. He's going to remember every dimension of your face, and he will remember Mr. Saluka, and he will find you. But the truth is, the cat on the seat ain't going to find you. He ain't going to know who he's talking to. And can we also be real? These people are in such a stressful situation, regardless of who they are. They are not focusing on you. They're focusing on the judge, their attorney, what's going on in the courtroom, and if their liberty is about to be totally stripped from them. They definitely don't care about 12 people they need to memorize. So here's the point I wanted to make. I definitely agree. There would be significant value in that video being available to attorneys. Attorneys being able to see what happens in that jury room, right? The stereotypical person that tends to be the personality that controls the room. Types of things to look for. Occupations that might be dangerous to what you're trying to control or manipulate or persuade. Yeah. That information would be invaluable. And I think it would actually probably benefit the zealous advocacy that attorneys are supposed to deliver for their client. At the same time, I don't think that value outweighs what it means, what you're giving up, which is that anonymity is the only thing that makes what happens in that room work. And in the rare occasions where it doesn't work, we pull the plug. It doesn't work. Hung jury. We need a whole new jury and we're starting again. But for it to work in that room, those people need to know that they can safely come to their opinion, and the defendant, the political sphere, and the media are never going to find them or hunt them down. Now, following court cases, attorneys can petition for willing participants in the jury to stay afterwards and explain why they chose what they did. And guess what? More often than not, the folks that are going to do that are probably going to be the strong personalities that controlled the room to begin with.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Truthfully, the person you don't want to hear from is little old woman Johnson that was controlled in the room to begin with, right? I want to know why the dude that was vehemently against my client was so convicted in his ideals. That's the person I want to talk to. And more often than not, that person's going to be willing to stay back and talk. Probably. And in the chances where they aren't, it's probably for a good reason. And we should want to preserve and offer that privacy to our people. Ricky, what are your thoughts?
On the jury or the whole thing?
All of it. The whole deal.
I got you. So the jury part, I agree. I took back my statement about we should record them because it's too much of a risk, and we need them to be comfortable. We need them to be comfortable to make the decisions they need to make. Now, on the death penalty thing, I don't care who you are, if you're at a death penalty, a life, or 20 years, 25, 10 years. If there is refutable evidence to show that you're innocent or you have nothing to do with this crime, I feel it should be easier to just get out. All right, that's it. That's all that's
all you got?
That's all I got.
Silent. What do you
Capital punishment should be abolished. Japan and the USA are the only G7 countries that that still do capital punishment. I don't think it should be a thing. I think in this day and age we can maybe have some exceptions, right? Like maybe if it's
how much money does it cost to keep a person in jail for their lifetime?
I don't think we should put pricing on the value of a life. I don't think the government should ever decide that under any circumstances.
But if they take a life, why should us taxpayers be paying for them to be in jail, getting 3 square meals, a bed, health care, all that on our dime, when someone else doesn't get to take it?
I think there's an argument to the pursuit of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Okay. I think you are allowed your.
Oh, okay. Gurgat's coming in hot.
I like your liberties. I love your liberties. But Doug has the best point here, which is, guess how you even have liberties? Lions don't bite your necks, and your neighbor doesn't put a double barrel in your throat. The reason is because we have law and order. The only way you preserve and have law and order is have rules and then enforce them. So here's the problem. Wait, I threw it away. So I want. We're talking about Mr. Williams and his plights way too much, and we're totally ignoring something that should be of value to somebody. I mean, it's of value to me. Her name was Gail. Nobody cares about Gail. Gail was at home in her house, and someone busted through the door and stabbed her 12 times.
I care about her.
So I'm going to go out on a limb and say, Doug's got a point. You should at least inquire, what is the cost? What is the cost of a lifetime prisoner?
By the way, the taxpayer is not paying that bill. A lot of times it's private prisons that pay that bill, so it depends as well.
But wait.
Prisons get
How
their
do you
money?
think a private prison works? So a company owns a prison, right? They own it privately. They're making money, Silent.
And where do you think that comes from, buddy?
They're making money. So what's happening is the state pays them So here's how a private prison
it's
works.
cheaper for the state to pay a private prison than it is to operate their own.
Right,
but
right.
it's still
So
tax dollars.
From my understanding, it's not just tax dollars. There's also investors that put money into private.
Right.
But it's still tax dollars.
But again, there's investors that bought the McDonald's. But the McDonald's is still racking in cash. So let me put. I like this thought. Let's milk it out. A private prison is they own the facility.
They're against death penalty.
Hold on, Doug.
They want the
Doug, chill for a second. You have a private prison. This facility is owned by a board of investors and private owners.
Yep.
What do they own? What do they own? They own the facility and its operation.
Yep.
So that means they pay the employees, they buy the food, they pay the real estate tax, and what they do is lease to the state a bed.
Yep.
So the state pays per night for asses in seats. So there is profit there. There is overhead, what is the cost for food and, Bubba to stand down the hall and be the security for the hallway. And then there's what they get paid by the state. And there's a profit margin between the two of them. That's why there's such a market in being involved in private prisons.
And I think the key point you made too, it's per bed. It's not a flat fee. This isn't.
So again, there's an investment in
Boom.
putting asses in cells.
So
not capital punishment, but life in prison.
So you would. So in your opinion, you'd rather just kill someone than just keep them alive for however much years they would have.
And that's why
you think
under capital.
Hold on.
Yes, I can answer that. I can answer that.
The bathroom, guys. This is super huge.
I can answer that.
This is the biggest of the big. What do you do in a world where a Bianca Ellis, is that a name that resonates with anybody? No. What do you do when a Bianca Ellis, who killed some folks in California and then comes to Cleveland and slices a little boy's throat at a grocery store? Just walks up to the little boy, slices his throat, and now there's a dead boy. Okay? Just a mom and her son going to buy groceries, and he's dead. And this is a homeless, schizophrenic psycho that walks around in a wheelchair. You heard me right. This is an obese person that walks in a wheelchair. She's sitting and crawling around. She has no food. So you truly have to keep in balance. You are creating a system, and not a system just for me and you and functioning members of society like the folks in this chat here. We are also creating a system that affects all people, even those in the fringe. And so you need to create a system that also protects against folks that would be incentivized. If I'm homeless, don't have meals, I'm crazy, and I hate living. This damn bridge is cold and lumpy. All it takes is slicing a white boy's throat, and I am set for life. To some people, that is set for life. To us, it would be a prison, a tragedy. But there are people where it is an upgrade. So you either create a world and a society where there's no people that ever see that terrible lifestyle as an upgrade, which would be a great goal, but let's live in a real world. Or you need to create a system that acknowledges some of those people exist, that they may be doing it just to be in the system. Doug is itching. Doug.
Well, I think of, was it Shawshank Redemption, where the dude's like, at a certain point, he wants to find a crime to stay in prison because he doesn't know what life is like on the outside. And then there are people who, like you kind of mentioned, they want to commit a crime, just get in jail because they get inside, a warm bed, they get 3 square meals, and they don't have to pay for any of it. So, there are some people that definitely try to find something to get caught for too.
But I think the percentage of those individuals is very few and very far between. There's not a whole lot of people out there that legitimately want to be in jail because they don't have other options. That's, let's say, of the million people we have in jail.
At the same time,
is it 100?
What do we know about recidivism? Like, if we're going to have a whole social justice dialogue here, if the recidivism rates are higher than the criminal rates themselves, and what we draw from that is that we've created a criminal enterprise that has made, convict university, where you go to these places to find out how to be better convicts and how to stay in the system and thrive stronger. At some point, you're so entrenched in that world, dude, you go to law school for 3 years and you'd be amazed how much you absorb. Imagine being in a prison for 15 years, what you know and how much of that is a fabric of your existence. Ricky, hold on. Let Ricky give his thought.
The great thing is, this is like a jury right here. You know what I mean? We're all different opinions and everything. And the thing is, there is evil in the world.
True.
And when you see certain evil, you gotta get rid of the evil. You can't let that evil keep poisoning people and think they're gonna get a free bed. It's okay to do this. No, you gotta know there's a date for your circumcised. We're gonna get you.
Who's cutting your neck skin off?
No Diddy. I was trying to say a fancy word, but I got tangled. No Diddy. No Diddy. No entanglement over here. You know what I mean? No entanglement. But look, there is evil people out in the world, and that it was like these school bloopers, and we need to get rid of them. Like, they shouldn't be sitting in a cell for the rest of their life. You made that decision, you should know there is a repercussion for your decision. Even if you're that young, if you can make a grown-up decision that young, you should be grown-up consequences. If you can go great people out of all these places,
that's right. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But if you can do that crazy shit, you should not be amongst civilized people that is just trying to make it by, that is struggling to make it by. You're struggling in your ways, but there's people out here struggling just to provide a roof. They don't know how they're gonna get their next check, and they're still trying to make a better tomorrow. And you, because you're angry, you should just come murk me? No, it doesn't make sense. People like that need to be sentenced to a date, and the date should be executed if the evidence point to that person doing all of what he's done.
What's up?
Y'all don't believe in like second chances on people? Like,
here's what I want to say. We've definitely belittled the reform that Mr. Williams has gone through. There was a section in the article of how much he has changed. And, he's into poetry, how much he's a central figure. He's a father. He's a grandfather. He's a spiritual leader for people around him. And let's be real, Baker didn't become a good quarterback until nobody wanted him on a team. There's a humbling experience. Maybe looking down the barrel of life has changed a person.
Yeah.
And I'm for that too. I'd like to find a way how you can evaluate that. Because if you've created this system and it's not for punishment, is the goal to punish? Is it punitive or is it reformative?
Yeah.
Because if you're trying to just reform somebody so they can become a functioning member of society, there should be a way to evaluate that this person has been reformed. But
And
we're also
that is
talking
facts.
about humans. Is that possible? Hold on. Marcus wants to continue.
like, I'll say like you could at least put them in a white room with nothing in there or something. Let them mentally think about what they did. Because if you look at it, Texas rules, laws are strict and all that. There was a young boy named TK. He killed someone. He didn't even kill no one. He was just there, but he's still in prison. But the other people got out because
Well, TK went on
And
and
this
did an
is-
armed robbery in another state, killed another person in another robbery, and he went on the run, cut off his ankle monitor. Marcus, there's a lot in that case.
Oh,
And
jeez.
Ricky was hot. Ricky was
But
hot.
no, because I agree with my brother. I agree with him. I believe in second chances, but certain people don't deserve second chances.
We can
ain't
all
no
agree
way.
with that.
We
But
agree with
we
that.
can all
But
agree
But
with
see,
that.
here's the thing. This is not a theft of $50,000 or more.
No.
This was a
Exactly.
stabbing of
It's a
12
life.
times or more in your own living room. And I
That's
think
what I'm
we as a
saying.
jury, I like
But-
Ricky's. Go, Ricky.
We cannot. There's evidence that point back to him, Morris White. Well, I don't remember the guy's name. Sorry, internet, don't
Yeah,
kill
Marcellus
me.
Williams.
Black Twitter, Market. Thank you. See, look, Black Twitter. The white guy came and saved me. Don't come on now. We out here. One love. look. But there's evidence that showed that his DNA was not amongst anything. So if it's not pointed his way, he should be free. But if it was pointed his way and his jury of his peers convicted him, hey, gas chamber.
Well, so here's the thing. Whoa. Okay, but
Ignoring that one specific comment.
that would just literally one word. Okay. Holy shit! I totally lost everything I was going to say.
So I think
Ricky,
let me
totally
go.
short-circuited me.
Yeah, on the rehabilitation front too. If we can all agree that there's exceptionally rare individuals who want to go into prison, who want to be in there and are actively trying, there's probably an argument on the other hand that the rehabilitation side of it, is there someone who does these heinous crimes and then comes out better after the rehabilitation, especially when a loss of life has been, has happened under their guidance hands, however you place it within the law. So there's I think for the most part some of this perpetuates itself. You go to jail, you get a reputation, can't get a job, now you start socializing yourself with those individuals who are under the same circumstances you are, and unfortunately some of that can breed and lead into more crime, which puts them back into, and then there's also kind of like a risk taking factor of it too. Like we always like pointing out the Kia boys. So part of what makes them so particularly dangerous is they're not tried as adults, and you get over the hump of punishment once and go, oh, I just catch and release. That's not too bad. Or, at worst you spend a couple of days in jail. Well, that's not too bad. I can just go
Well, why
out,
do you
I can
think
just do it
some
again.
criminal organizations use kids? Because they can get away with that.
Yeah, and there's a point to that, but there is a certain aspect of if you just get over the hump of some sort of fear, and to some people that fear is jail. Like, oh, I'm going to jail, I'm going to prison. I really don't want to do that. That kind of keeps society in check. But for those who don't fear that and go, the consequences maybe just a couple of days on my end, all of a sudden you can just see that crime escalate. It's like repeat offenders that's a large portion of that prison population. So I think there is something to be said that maybe the way we approach rehabilitation isn't rehabilitating, and it might be causing more problems than it's solving. But someone steals your car, grand theft auto, like there has to be consequences in society, or else they're just going to keep doing it at leisure. There's got to be a barrier. You can't just do it and decide, all right, there's nothing happens to me, so I can just get away with it scot-free.
Go ahead,
I
Marcus.
feel like for instance, like how you say you can't get a job when you get out of prison. I feel like you should be able to. Like, it depends on the company too. Like, I wouldn't want no one who just came out of prison working at my company or something.
Yeah.
Well, so here's the bigger problem.
And that's the problem.
Yeah.
I have a buddy of mine that does his dad has a company that does like physical labor. It's recycling. And it's a tough job to get people to show up to, and it's a tough job to lock down and keep employees. So more often than not, he hires prisoners, ex-felons, ex-convicts. And here's the problem. And truthfully, I could tell you I shared the same bright and wishful ambitions as you do. With the balance of life comes the experience of over and over again experiencing the people and the actions. And so when you do hire these people, if every time they don't hold the job longer than a month, they're never on time, they're smoking in the back, and again, do your things out, have fun. I'm sipping wine, but at the same time, you're doing it before the job. You're doing it while you're on the job. You're extending lunches too long. The problem is this isn't something that just came out of nowhere because people are mean. It's because through continuous experience, even the more progressive companies that want to have a heart, the more they continue to open that door and lose an employee, and now we're looking for another one, and then we find ourselves in the same place because that person did the same thing to me. It becomes such a cycle that you get lost in. But I agree, you shouldn't also then lose your virtues. So before we dive into wrapping thoughts, or Marcus, you had one more? So before we dive into wrapping thoughts, I just want to conclude a couple other pieces that was left in the article. Mr. Williams' attorney also adds that we shouldn't kill innocent people, but other than that, I believe in the death penalty. But if you believe in the system at all, that means you're okay with innocent people being killed because the system isn't perfect. It's going to kill innocent people. There's something that isn't fun, that isn't easy to swallow, but it is a reality. And so the truth is, do you want to have a system that at least strives to prevent people from barging in your house and stabbing you 12 times? If you don't, and you want to just be anarchy, so then at the same time, we just police ourselves. And so the person with the biggest guns is the one that has the biggest control in your community. That's how the person with the most strength is the one that dictates it all. You could do that. Or we could try to create a system where there's a social contract. We all buy into it. And yes, we do give a little bit of our liberties, but in return, we get a significant more promise of security. And you would say that would be worth it. So let's close the show down. Silent, what's your wrapping thought?
I still think capital punishment shouldn't be a thing in 2024. I personally don't think the government has shown a record of them having the capability to always have enough evidence to send someone to their death, because they've been caught many, many times sending innocent people to their death. And then it becomes the slippery slope of like, where do you draw the line? Like, oh, some people get the death penalty because they sold weed, or, oh, someone, like stole a car and then they get the death penalty, or like where does the line get drawn, right? Like, what gets the death penalty and what doesn't? And then how much evidence is needed in order to send someone to their death, right? Like, that's why I think it should just be abolished. I mean, most of the Western world has abolished it, like I said, except like the US and Japan. But that's a whole other argument. I just think that in this case, obviously, if there's no evidence against Mr. Williams here, he should, of course, be set free. But if the evidence, of course, points that he is the person that did this, then I don't think he should be killed. I think he should just serve maybe life, and that's it. That's my take on the whole thing.
I can appreciate that. Ricky, what are your wrapping thoughts?
If you commit a crime, egregious, very out of the norm, you deserve what you deserve. You should not be harming innocents out here. And as humans, we shouldn't be harming our fellow humans. And especially if you keep repeating the same thing, especially like cereals, not the one you eat, but the ones that do though. They deserve what they deserve because they don't care about life. They only care about themselves. So get them out of here.
I can appreciate that. All right. My wrapping thought. First, I want to address some of the things that Silent brought up. You know, it also was acknowledged in this article. Williams' execution is one of 5 scheduled across the U.S. in 1 week period. On this past Friday, South Carolina executed a man days after the state's main witness recanted his testimony. So, admittedly, yes, there are instances where they get it wrong. Silence suggests that we shouldn't do capital punishment, and the main piece being because they do not get it right enough. And here's the thing that I think we lose sight of. I can appreciate that perspective because we want to be batting 1,000. That's the goal. We need to be getting as close to batting 1,000 as possible because we are taking a human life. But also recognize how hard it is to create a fair and perfect system for 350 million people interacting 365 days every single year. This is nonstop. This is for eternity. We're trying to create a system where all of this hive of humans can safely interact and thrive. And we got to get as close to 1,000 as possible. And truthfully, are we batting 500? I think we could get, I think I could make an argument that we're 50-50. Are we perfect? No, but we're pretty damn close to 50-50. And if most of what you're going to cite are legal cases in the 20s and the 60s, then you really are off kilter and you're not living in the modern world. There is so much accountability. There is so much precedent. The law has evolved to such a degree. First, they wrote it. Then they rewrote it and amended it, and then it went to all these different court cases for 200 years, and it continued to change to a point where now we're still changing, and we still got a lot to do. But this is the closest we've gotten to truth or goodness as we've been in the past, and at least what we're striving for is that goal, and at least we are on that path. We're not regressing. So I just want to acknowledge, no, they're not putting people on the death penalty for selling weed. And that's like a major piece that needs to be hammered home to people. And I can appreciate Ricky's point where he's like, you get what you do. You get what you get. You know, what comes around comes around. And maybe that's just the beauty of karma. Now, I don't like the state being the one that serves karma. Usually karma finds itself. But at the same time, maybe this is how it does it. Like, there was something to a community that had public hangings. Not only did it have a deterrence factor, but there was a gratification. And trust me, you're not going to find a more empathetic person in this room. But at the same time, there's so many sick things happening to kids on a global basis that, like, yeah, I wouldn't deny. We probably should have the gratification of it. Take them to the Times Square. This has gotten so outrageous and it's gotten so disgusting that truthfully, we need it. We need it. Those people need to be reminded that no, you need to keep hiding. Minor attracted persons, don't get comfortable. You're never going to have a moment here. So we probably should do that in the public square so you know where you belong. But at the same time, I get to know that you're doing I get to have satisfaction that Epstein isn't just selling to nobody, that those people also get to have their day. Diddy wasn't just diddling nobody or selling them to nobody. And he wasn't RICOing with nobody. But that's what we're going to experience. So I just want to emphasize this was a fun thought experiment and dialogue about capital punishment. And let's acknowledge what capital punishment is. It is a sentence for capital offenses, not selling pot, not even stealing over $50,000. It is for capital offenses. Those are very specific things. We are looking at murders. You're looking at treason. You're looking at genocide. And you're looking at killing of high-profile, high-ranking officials. Yeah, I'm with Ricky. Hey, don't do that. And we really don't have any room for that. So it shouldn't cost me $150,000 a year, $60,000 or $80,000 of it going to some white guy who's just living on a beach house in California. Like, I don't want to pay $100,000, $150,000 a year for that. We don't even need you. That's the acknowledgement here. You recognize you're in a concrete box because no one wants you, no one needs you, no one thinks the actions you have are justifiable or wanted in our community. So we all stamp it. I agree that this is an imperfect system, and we can be in a situation where innocent people are facing travesty. I would love to go down the road, and we don't have the time for it all, but we could walk down the road of the statistics of political deterrence and how necessary, how much of our system relies on personal deterrence, where people are stopping themselves from taking that action. And we are free-willed beings. You really could walk into a Toys R Us and obliterate the place and take out all the people. Something's stopping you from doing it. What? Well, first off, I don't think people want to do that, most of us. But for the folks that do, there's people that want to do it and are not. What's stopping them? It's a system that'll put you in a box forever or turn you off like a light switch. And so maybe that should also incentivize you not to even associate with somebody that could drag you down that road. I don't know. I am torn on capital punishment because I could see where silence right. It's not totally perfect. But I don't know the stats. If somebody could show me a statistic where this is batting over 50%, then I find it appropriate because you're not doing it for offenses that are reformable or that are worth preserving the life and taking on the expense. There is nothing worth preserving for murder, treason, killing our political officials, or genocide. Hey, Hitler. Silence said he'll pay $150,000 for you to get three hots and a cot. What's your rapping thoughts?
I probably agree with Silent the most of all of us on this one. I think if the state has the ability, the authority, and just the general will to kill one of its own citizens, because that's what it is. What capital punishment is? They're killing one of its own citizens. They're killing.
No. It wasn't the state. It was a jury of 12 of your peers.
Your peers.
Your peers did that.
No.
David, your people, your folks were like, David's gone. We want no more David.
The jury only makes they recommend.
Makes the decision.
No.
If you're convicted of a capital offense by the jury, this isn't some conjured up sentence by the judge that was like, thank you for the conviction. I'm going to put you away for 10 years.
Jury knows it's capital.
The jury
knows
recommends.
it's capital.
The jury does
No.
not.
The state draws a statutory line where if it is a capital crime in Ohio, it receives capital punishment.
They tell you that that's going to be it. The jury knows.
The jury knows their conviction results in death. That is something that lingers over a capital offense.
The judge can supersede that.
This is statutory. This is very different. This is created by the executive branch. A judge cannot remove capital punishment. That's not within their jurisdiction.
Well, isn't capital punishment either death or just life in jail? It's one of those two, correct?
No. In a capital punishment state, by statute, these convictions result in this punishment. That's just like OVIs. If you have an OV, the judge in Brecksville, who has now retired, Judge Weiler, has created a chart. This is the most referenced chart across the state. And if you have committed this many OVIs in this many years, this is what your offense is. And it's a big chart. And every court uses it. It's become the law of the land. This is essentially that. It's if you commit this offense, you get this crime. In an OVI, it's 10 years and you lose your license. For succeeding in killing the president, we turn you off.
Yeah, I think my broader point here is if the state has the ability and the agency to be able to kill you, we better make sure that standard and that bar is as high as legally possible, so that there is left no doubt that they made the correct decision and did it to the correct person. And that's not a controversial statement, but I think that bar, I think it's high. I think we are at least 90% correct in our capital punishments. At least the right person, regardless how you feel about capital punishment itself, the right person did get their due or did get their punishment. However, I do believe one is too many, and there should be such a high threshold, because this is death, and I don't think there isn't any benefit to going through like cost of a life or weighing it on monetary value, because I think once we start going down that road, that's going to be a bridge too far to just this apocalyptic corporate welfare. Oh God. Anyway, so when we go to that point, we must always life should just be a standard, the same standard across the board, whether shitty person, great person, their life does have value. Now we can argue how much value it has. We shouldn't put monetary value to it. However, we need to respect it to a certain point that we are being as specific as possible. We are being as thorough as possible, even if it takes longer than it should.
I very much appreciate that point, because when I was like in high school, young debater, telling my parents, I'm going to go to law school and I want to be a lawyer and blah, blah, blah. One of the things my dad and my uncle posed to me at a young age was the philosophical question: is it better to put an innocent person away or defend a guilty person? Which one is worse? And I always, when I was young, when my dad first threw this to me, I would always say it's so much worse to defend a guilty person. Could you imagine being the attorney and he looks you deadpan and he goes, "Oh yeah, I did that to that little girl, and I got to go up there and say he did it and I defend him and I get him off"? That's so much worse. And my dad and my uncle blindly, never. It is so much worse that a single innocent person spends a day in jail. And I have to tell you, through experience, there is a right answer. It is a great thought experiment that I encourage people to wrestle with. But at least through my journey, to me, it is beyond clear. Defending a guilty person holds nowhere near the severity and the detrimental impact on the system overall than an innocent person spending a single day in a place where he didn't commit the crime to match it. Yep. I appreciate everybody that joined us today. This was a really great episode. We go live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. First, let's bring in the Pickle Gallery. Ricky, tell them where they could find you.
Yo, hey, it's Ricky. We outside every day, even though sometimes we be inside. But check us out, Just Another Day TV, the right way, on Instagram, and Just Another Day TV everywhere. Promise you. Old fashioned West review coming next week. Don't worry on it. It's coming. It's been a month, but hey, it's coming because it's old fashioned, so it takes time to trickle down. But we here, we outside, people. Check out the show. And yo, Alex invite me on the football show on Sunday. So guess what? If I ain't there, my picks will be there because he shot me out this week so much. I was so happy. Yo, shout out to Alex. So I'll be on the football show on Sundays too.
Hey.
So shout out to everybody, man. I appreciate y'all.
Sunday.
Y'all. Hey, and if y'all watching too, please like the show during the fucking show so it boost the algorithm. We need the algorithm to algo with us. You feel me? All right. That's it. I appreciate y'all. Thank you, Alex, for having me. I appreciate y'all, chat. And bless up everybody. Y'all get home safe and have a safe night.
As always. Silent, tell them where they can find you, brother.
Kick.com/silent-destroyer. We are live every single day. Thank you guys for having me. As always, this was a great discussion. I really enjoyed it a lot.
Oh, this was great. Guys, as always, I want to thank you all for joining us. Like I said, we go live every Sunday at 7 p.m., so don't miss it. I want to thank Gladiator, Nicolette, and everybody else that joined us in the comments. Again, the whole purpose of the live show is to add that extra dynamic and add your perspective to the conversation. So thank you to everybody that joined us. We go live again at 7 p.m., but we also we got to change this graphic. We don't have Brian because he's tied up by Dolphins. We actually go live at 11 a.m. So rethink actions. Doug's going to be here. He's not in Miami floating around anymore. So be sure to join us this weekend. Well, actually, Doug won't be here this weekend, but I will. Oh, yeah. Yes, you will.
I will.
I don't know what I was thinking. Doug's going to join me. Rethink
I'll
actions.
be here. I'm not dead. If anything happens to me, it's his fault. All right? You all heard it.
Yeah. Honestly, I put my friends at risk every day we do this show. I'm shocked our cars make it home. The CIA could drive us into a tree so easily. But that being said, we also followed up, like Ricky acknowledged, with our Sunday football review. Hold on. You know what? If we're going to do this, we need the graphic. Sunday football review. Join us. And this graphic has at least 11 a.m. So join us again for the shows that are coming your way. But I'm sure you're asking yourself, there's so much content. Where could I find it all at one central place? And that's at our website. So be sure. What the heck? Pop out full screen template. What templates does Brian have here? Brian, come back from the cave. Anyway, yeah, right?
I mean, I've never had that issue. It's a Gurgad issue. He's an amateur at this.
I'm
trying to take it all over.
I wasn't always a producer.
Yeah, I know. You took it over because you thought you were hot shit, but I guess you're not.
Anyway, guys, thanks for joining us each week. We appreciate you joining us. You can find it all in one central place, and that's at our website at www.rethinktankpodcast.com. So otherwise, guys, we'll catch you next week. Join us Sunday, but we'll get you next week. Peace.